to MJ Hobby Corner, everyone. I'm MJ, and today I want to give a very brief update on a project that I've been working on, a little side project. For September, I'm going to be working heavily on my cityscape project, which I've shown a couple of videos already of the cityscape that I've been working on. And August Scratch Builder is going to have that first phase of my cityscape project. Now in September we're going to continue that, but for the time being I've been having a lot of fun building miniature Navy ships, and I already showed quite a few of the sailing vessels and ironclads that we want to use in our upcoming campaign, but I decided to build some more modern World War II inspired vessels, and these would be for future games that involve Air Force and naval power, and set in a world something like dystopian wars, right? Something like that. I'm not sure yet what rules we would use or anything. I'm just building the ships right now. And what I would like to show primarily is the method that I'm employing to build the ships, because it actually proved a very fast method. Okay, so here are the new naval warships that I built, and these are inspired by World War II ships, and these are very generic. They don't represent any country necessarily, any specific country. They just represent different classes of ships for use in my later games. Here is one of the templates, and I'll go over this template in just a minute. As you can see, there's really nothing to these templates. Most of the detail work is done with other materials. To create the superstructure that we see is sprues. Old sprues, and I simply cut up these old sprues. This one's a particularly good one with all the little knobby ends and stuff, and I cut up the sprues and then use them to construct the ship. I'm going to show that in just a minute, but here there's an example. These are the kinds of knobby ends that I use for the gun mounts, and there's these nice high ones, and then we have these nice low ones. Okay, so that worked perfectly because some of the gun turrets have to be a little bit higher, so I used a higher knobby end, and some of them have to be lower. So here is an example, and these are cruisers right here, light cruisers. So these 4 ships are light cruisers, and this one is on its way to be built, but you can see how the template is really, there's nothing to it. Here's a piece of corrugated card, which is what fills the ship. And then these are the templates that I make on Microsoft Paint, cut them out, and then that's how I make the ships. Back here we have a battleship that's being built. It's not built yet. It's being built. And here we have a carrier. Now the carrier is one of my favorite. I was really happy with this build, and this build is definitely one of these World War II carriers. So once I paint the ship, I'm going to have to add some planes. You know, we just have to on the deck. I'll make some little very small planes to add there. But you could see all of the detail in there, okay? And all of that detail is made by simply using sprues, sprue bits, okay? And there's a number of other materials. If we look at the island, there's a little bit of cardboard. We have some plastic mesh cut. You can see the little anti-aircraft guns there. There's a couple of beads, little beads that I use, glass beads. And then the masts are all made by cutting up lengths of broomstick filament. Broomstick filament is very useful for making standards, and you can use them to make pikes for 1/72 scale miniatures. I use it for making masts, you know, and some of the antenna. There is also some anti-aircraft platforms right here. And basically, that's it. Now, we're going to see this painted in a little bit because I want to give it a little paint job. The bits, sometimes I will glue them vertically. Other times I glue them horizontally. You can see a little smokestack there with the little bead. Okay, and the glass beads that I use are basically these assorted glass beads. So I use some of them for, you know, adding a little bit of detail to the ship, and I just put them across the stern here and here along the bow, so it gives me a little bit of superstructure. And these are destroyers, so I have 2 destroyers. Okay, and notice how the guns, I usually like to put a little glob of white glue, leave it alone, let it dry, and it forms a little dome over the wire, which then kind of looks like guns. You can see that here in this one. This is another destroyer, and it has the double cannon, and I'm waiting for some to dry. I usually wait for the little glob of glue to dry, then I add a little extra glob and kind of build it up. Okay, so we have a little primer on the ships, and these now have to be painted, and we got to do the water effects on the base. But basically, here are some of the ships. Light cruisers right here in the front, and there's 3 variants. Okay, and I'm just, since they're not glued, I'm holding them as best I can so they don't fall. And once they're glued, we're ready to go. So these are light cruisers, and here is the carrier. Let's try to get the carrier. And I'm really happy with the carrier, the way the carrier came out. There's the details down below. It does feel like that World War II style of ship. Okay, and all of that is done with the remnants of sprues and paper model templates. So the paper model templates, and then you build it up with some sprue bits and also with little beads. Now this has to get painted. We have to put some aircraft on it and fix that water base, and there we go. And then the battleship, I hope to finish soon. That's going to have a pretty complex superstructure. Here is one of the destroyers. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. You'll see these are very important. So this is where I make the guns, and they're just the right size to be the base for the, you know, turrets of the ship. So how these work is that I glue the top deck to a piece of corrugated card, cut that out, and then glue the sides of the ship to that. Okay, and then that's what forms, it's a very simple, very simple technique. That's what forms the hull of the ship. And then on this open space, I cut up a bunch of little sprues, whatever looks good to me. Like sometimes I'll cut some of this little detail with the knobby ends, and then I'll glue that into the hull. Sometimes I'll glue them vertically. I'll change the position of the little bits, and then that creates the superstructure. And then to finish it off, I'll add some beads to give me some of the details that we see, for example, on the smokestacks right here. Those are little beads. If I can maybe get a little closer, you can see the beads there where the smokestacks are. And there's quite a few beads there, which could represent gun emplacements, say for tertiary weapons or anti-aircraft weapons. You know, that's what that could represent. So it's not difficult at all. And then for the carrier, same thing. The carrier, the flight deck is glued to corrugated card. So is the bottom hull. And then the sides are glued to this hull. However, the interesting thing about the carrier is then I needed a way to support the flight deck so that I can have a lot of detail. So I came up with the plan of adding a couple of long strips of these sprue bits, and then that gave me the detail that I wanted for the carrier, and it also supports the flight deck. Okay, so the sprues are in there, but when you look in there, it actually, you can see the detail of the sprues, and it looks like, you know, superstructure. It looks like it's meant to be there. And look at that. See, it's really nothing to these ships, and that's why they were fast to build. I will say the carrier took me the longest to build, closer to an hour, and that's because I was fiddling around with the parts to see exactly what fit where. So it did take me a little longer to do the carrier, but now that I know what I'm doing, it will take a lot less time. And the island was again made with corrugated card like this. So I'll show all that in Scratch Builder Monthly, and I'll probably show the battleship because that's going to involve a lot of building. So, and we can see the battleship here in the template. It's just the top deck, this part of the deck here, and then we have the guns, and I made some extra ones, and then the side hull, and that's it. That's the entire ship, and everything else is just sprue detail. And that is all. I'm interested in seeing how this technique will work with starships. I'll be making some templates for starships, and then using the sprues to build up the superstructure and create some interesting little starships. So stay tuned for that. Now this project's going on the back burner. I'm going to finish up the ships that I already have, and then it's going to go on the back burner because I do have my cityscape terrain, which has priority in September. Okay, so we are going to continue building that sci-fi city. All right, folks, thank you very much, and I hope that has been of interest to some of you, and we'll talk in the next video. All right, I'll announce when Scratch Builder August will be up on Patreon and also on Wargames Vault. My patrons get a copy of Scratch Builder with their subscription. All right, so it's a good way to support the channel if you guys want to. All right, thank you very much, folks, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye now.